Hey everybody, Tony here from tonyshealthtips.org, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about financial health. There's a very intimate connection between our financial health and our physical health and our physical well-being. Not only because, to be healthy, it can sometimes cost money, whether that's a gym membership or, expensive healthy food, but also, when we're stressed and when we're unhealthy, that costs us money as well in terms of whether it be medications, whether it be, trips to the doctor because our immune system is low, etc. So I propose and I argue that our financial health is a huge part of our overall wellness. And I actually have a health tip about that where I show you the wellness wheel, and financial health is a big piece of that. So today's health tip, I want to go into depth a little bit and give you some tips in terms of our debt. Myself, I've been debt-free. I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary, actually, of being debt-free in February. I'm really proud of that. I went through 7 years of higher education, which is obviously really expensive, but I have no debt today. And there's some little tips and secrets that I picked up along the way that I think that can be very helpful for you. So one of them is people don't realize that they have the ability and they have the right, essentially, to negotiate with their credit card companies, okay? So the two big things that you can negotiate with a credit card company would be a lower interest rate, which can make a big difference on your bill, right? Or an increased credit limit. And an increased credit limit you don't want to do just so that you can keep maxing out your credit card. But the theory is that will actually improve your credit score as well. The official credit score, nobody knows, unless you are a credit bureau agency, nobody knows what it is, but it's suspected that will help. The bigger piece, though, is lowering your interest rate. So you can literally just get on the phone, call your credit card company, and say, hey, can you lower my interest rate? Surprisingly, a lot of times they'll say yes, and all you have to do is ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. Why not just ask? You can save yourself hundreds or thousands of dollars. Now, if they say no, realize that you can negotiate with them a little bit, right? So one tip is, if they say no, you can use this line. Say, I understand you're not authorized to decrease my interest rate. Is there a manager or is there someone else that I can talk to who is authorized to do so that I can speak with them? When you get that person on the phone, sell them your case a little bit. It might sound like, hey, I've been with you all for 9 years. I've never asked for, interest rate being decreased. I've never asked for an increased credit limit. I'd really appreciate this, and then sell them on it and ask. Now, if they say no, this is where you drop the B word, and that's bankruptcy. Whether you have any interest in declaring bankruptcy or not, if you're talking to a high-level manager in that organization with that credit card company, they know that if you were to declare bankruptcy, the credit card company isn't getting anything. So that word a lot of times can sort of scare them into, give you a little bit of leverage to scare them into your demands, so to speak, or your request of lowering your interest rate, which is kind of cool because, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have all the leverage. They make the rules. They know what the fine print says. They can hold you accountable. They can report you to a credit agency and all this stuff. And this is one of those times where you can actually have the leverage in your favor, and it's kind of exciting. So beyond that tip, which can be very effective and very helpful, I want to talk a little bit about debt collection and what that actually is, okay? Because once again, we don't realize we have the power to negotiate with debt collectors. So let's say, for instance, that you owe me $1,000, okay? You owe me $1,000. I am not getting my money, okay? So this is how it works. I will sell your debt to a debt collection agency. We'll call them Bob for simplicity's sake. I go to Bob and say, hey, Bob, this person who's watching my video right now owes me $1,000. I'm going to sell you the right to this debt for $500, okay? And Bob is going to say, okay, deal, because Bob's like, this is a great deal. If I get back $1,000, I've only spent $500, $500 easy profit, right? So what if you knew this? Or what if you knew that he only spent $500 and you said, hey, Bob, I can't do this. This is really expensive. How about I give you $650 today and we call it a deal? Otherwise, I just don't think I can get you the money. Bob may say yes and pull the trigger on that really quick, right? Because Bob has just made $150 like that. So it's almost like a win-win kind of situation. But if you have no clue how debt collection works, you're not even going to necessarily think to even offer a negotiation tactic or a different price. You're just going to assume that you're on the hook for it and you have to pay it. The myth that you have to pay your debt, believe it or not, that is a myth, okay? Now, credit cards aside, do not do this if you have credit card debt. But for other kinds of debts, such as a medical bill, for instance, okay, there's actually a statute of limitations. This is mind-blowing. I know this sounds too good to be true. There's a statute of limitations in each state on how long someone is allowed to collect a debt from you for, okay? So if I'm a hospital and you owe me $600, and in the state that you're in, the statute of limitations is 4 years. Some states it's 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say that 4 years has passed, and I call you and say, hey, where's my money? You literally, legally, do not owe me that money anymore. If they were to take you to court, if I were to take you to court, the judge is going to look at that and say, are you kidding me? The statute of limitations is up. They don't owe you any money. Now, nobody tells you this, okay? We don't learn this stuff in school, okay? Now, I'm not suggesting that you just flake on all your debts and you don't pay them, but this can be very effective if it's a bogus bill, if it's something that you feel that you don't owe them, okay? This can be a highly effective tool. The law is in place to protect you from bogus bills. They need to prove it. If they want their money bad enough, they should take you to court and prove that the bill is actually legitimate. If 4 years or 5 years has gone by, then it may not be a legitimate bill. And now nobody's going to take you to court over a $400 or $500 hospital bill. More than likely, it is possible, but it's often not worth the legal costs, etc. So if you were to call them, if they call you and you say, "Yeah, sorry, I know that I owe you that money, but I just can't pay it," they can argue in court that when you made that statement, that reset the statute of limitations because you've now acknowledged that bill, okay? Avoidance in some cases can actually be financially beneficial. Now, it can ruin your credit score, okay? So there's definitely some downside to it, and they can always take you to court, okay? So I'm not suggesting this in every case, and I'm not suggesting that people flake on their bills, but realize that you have these rights, and realize that there are other tactics for you when dealing with your debt. There are other tactics for you when dealing with your debt that your debt collectors do not want you to be aware of. They don't want you to know that you have these tools in your toolkit and you're not taught these tools in school. So it's up to you to be financially savvy and do the research and find out what your rights are, what the laws are. Here's another example of your rights. There are actually specific hours of the day that debt collectors are allowed to call you. If they call you outside of that window, you can actually sue them for calling you at inappropriate times. And so anytime you're getting those phone calls, you should log when they are, when debt collectors are calling you, etc., etc. You can also put in writing, if you tell them in writing, I recommend with a certified letter, you tell them in writing, I do not want to hear from you any longer. They cannot contact you unless it's to take you to court. Okay, so that is a surefire way, and again, a certified letter will ensure that it gets there. So this is just another example of rights that we have as citizens against these greedy companies that are harassing people for debt, etc., etc. So realize that you have rights. This is only a 9-minute video. I can't squeeze them all in here. Realize that you have rights. Do your own research and get yourself out of debt if possible, or reduce your debt if possible, because again, that has a huge impact on your overall health. Have a wonderful day. You've only got one body. Take care of it.